I'm Shelley Shelley Grayson, and I work for Gnosis Pay, Chief Compliance Officer. Gnosis Pay is the first truly authentic, decentralized app. I don't know whether we call it an app. It's payments architecture to enable the bridge between DeFi and debit cards. So any Visa merchant will accept the Gnosis Pay card, but it's your keys, your card, your crypto throughout the entirety of the journey until an atomic second before stablecoins are converted into fiat. At that point, that is when Gnosis Pay actually gets to touch your funds, which are reserved for the Visa merchant. And there you go. It's the first ever DeFi debit card that allows you to spend whatever you have in your self-hosted wallet through Visa merchants. Effective policymaking should be seeking to balance the competing priorities of innovation and improvement alongside protection of consumers and protection of the integrity of financial systems. So where we see policymaking gone rogue is where one of those competing interests has allowed a voice at the table, and where we see policymaking that's actually productive, that engages stakeholders in a bipartisan, in a grassroots way. That's where we see effective policy outputs. It's perfectly legitimate for Web3 users to want to have a pseudonymous presence in Web3. Not everybody wants everybody to know their business. And financial regulation not only wants to dilute those tools that are available for pseudonymity in Web3, but also it's a real disservice to the unbanked and the underbanked, because realistically the only way you can get a bank account or a payments account is to have government-issued ID. Government-issued ID costs money, and if you have the choice between buying a chicken and buying your government-issued ID, you're always going to go for a chicken if you happen to be hungry that day. And this means a vast number of people in the global south, those who are not in the top 10%, which is where we tend to spend most of our focus developing financial products for that part of the market. It's where the money is. But for the underbanked, I see that this conflict between privacy and what is viewed by regulators as making something safer, it's a conflict that's in people's heads. We have a blockchain. It's an immutable record of what's going on. If you can attribute, if you can identify the destination, at some point or another, people who are trying to launder funds on the blockchain will always get caught. It's the worst possible way anyone can launder money, because you can't hide your footprint. So yeah, I think the privacy people and the financial regulation people should hang out a little bit more together and develop some cross-domain expertise so they can do stuff that doesn't just push their own agendas. So I have spent the last few years working at the intersection of payments and crypto. And the reason I've done this is that in a previous life, I used to work for the Pay.UK, which is the UK Payments Authority, and I lifted the hood on the payments architecture that is in place in the UK. And we're basically running stuff on a 25, 30-year-old mainframe. And there are a lot of frictions along the way. If you want to onboard as a sponsor to be able to make payments directly with the Bank of England, you're put through a bunch of hoops, which are both unnecessary and unproductive. There could be better ways for supporting innovation. So I saw this space as somewhere where innovation was definitely going to work. And why? Because my father was a little shopkeeper, and he had margins of maybe 7%, 8% on the goods he was selling. And then to accept payment, he had to give away 4% to whichever credit card firm he was dealing with. So basically half of his labors, day and night, the blood, sweat and tears, all the risk, he only got half of the reward. So I saw something where blockchain could improve this. The friction, the cost of payments is going to be a fraction of what's currently available in traditional finance. And I believe this is a necessary change. To be charging people to spend their own money or accept money with such a huge markup at some point becomes unethical. And I think that tipping point was reached, and regulators should be more focused on the equity of payments and not only the technical standards that are the main concern of regulators. Just my 2 cents, personal views only.